live. And he didn't tell me we were live. He started the music without that. All right. So if you have just noticed and you just jumped on the channel and you're hitting it live, all of a sudden now you see there's guidelines for the channel, and they're very simple. Be kind to each other in the chat. Do not drop links to articles or anything like that unless you're a moderator. You can't do it. YouTube automatically removes them. I want to say, because I did read the comments, I did not respond to them last week because it seems that people believe that I had banned them, which I did not. I do not ban people for voicing their opinion or not agreeing with me. I chose not to answer those comments because I wanted to do a little face-to-face. In this stream, during the stream, I like to have a very open, honest conversation about real estate. You don't have to agree with me. Matter of fact, I invite you to watch as many channels about real estate as possible. Look at the data for yourself. If you get rude, if you get nasty, if you start saying things or promoting other channels to watch instead, my moderators do what they want to do. They are allowed to put you in a timeout. And that's that. I mean, I trust them to moderate my chat. If anything becomes overly political and has nothing to do with real estate, they remove that comment. I'm sorry. I mean, if you want to get your political, agenda off somewhere else, do it somewhere else, but not in my chat during a live stream. I like to keep this very fun on the chat. I like to show my data. If you don't like my data that I've pulled from the National Association of Realtors, National Association of Home Builders, somebody said pull up Fred. I have some numbers this week from Fred, but do you know where they get them from? Black Knight Analytics. It doesn't, just because the numbers don't say what you want them to, it's not that I'm making them up. I pull them straight off the internet. I don't make up the data. And somebody says, oh, you're using bad data. How can I be using bad data? They're not my numbers. I don't make them up. So, I read it all. I read all of it. I just chose not to respond to it because it frustrates me so much, because I work very, very hard on this channel and I try to give you very truthful, honest information without any BS. I could have this channel over 500,000 views if I made a housing crash video every single week or every single day of the month. I'm not doing that. I refuse to do that until I actually see that there's a housing crash. But with that being said, I will show you exactly what the headlines are saying. And then I show you exactly in the articles themselves what the headlines actually mean. For instance, this week, when we were looking up, right after the stream was over, I saw a headline and it said, foreclosures up 153%. And I was like, holy cow. So of course, then you start reading the data. So we're going to read that. I'm going to be showing you that in another segment as soon as we have our guest on. Another article had come out about builder sentiment. Builder sentiment for the last 4 months or even 6 months has been dropping. They are not going to be building as many homes. So we're going to talk about that and what that actually means for you as well. But without further ado, we're going to be talking to my friend Karen Gardner, and she's going to be talking about the foreclosure rates in her specific market, which is Maryland, up in the Northeast area. And we're going to have her on right now. So everybody welcome in Karen Gardner. Yay!
Hi.
Hi. So
happy to be here.
Yay! So Eddie has already got the charts together. Eddie, before you pull up her information about the Maryland market and the foreclosure rates, I want you to pull up that article. Karen is in Maryland, and she also has a YouTube channel. And her and I commiserate about thumbnails all the time. Those little images on the front of the videos. Yeah. So if you can pull up that one market watch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I asked for your opinion because you are the best thumbnail maker of anybody we know.
You helped me today because you said I got my number wrong, because I had put 146%. And you're like, it's higher than that. It was 156 or 153 or something like that. Here it is. This is not the foreclosure. I wanted the one about the foreclosures, babe. Whoopsie. If anybody doesn't know, Babe, the producer in the background, Eddie is my husband, so I'm allowed to call him Babe. So I'm allowed to call. I can give him a little. What do they call that when you do that in the office? Increase in foreclosure activities in the first 6 months of 2022 approaches pre-COVID levels. Approaches from ATTOM. Is this what I said? This wasn't it. ATTOM, a leading curator of real estate data nationwide and for land and property data, today released the mid-year 2022 foreclosure market report, which shows there were a total of 164,581 U.S. properties with foreclosure filings, default notices, scheduled auctions, or bank repossessions in the first 6 months of 2022. That figure is up 153% from the same time period a year ago, but down 1% from the same time 2 years ago. Okay. Foreclosure activity in the U.S. is slow and steady, climbing back to pre-pandemic levels in the first half of 2022, says Rick. I don't even know how to say his name. Sharga, Executive Vice President of the Market Intelligence of ATTOM. While overall foreclosure activity is still running significantly below historic levels, the dramatic increase in foreclosure starts suggests that we may be back to normal levels, by early 2023. Bucking the national trend with decreasing foreclosure activity compared to a year ago, in the nation's most popular metros during the first half of 2022. There were only 7 of the 223 metro areas analyzed. Those metros include Lake Havasu, Arizona, down 47%, Eugene, Oregon, down 27%, Springfield, Illinois, down 19%, Shreveport, Louisiana, right here, down 9%, and Brownsville, Texas, down 8%. Nationwide, 0.12% of the housing units for every 845 has foreclosure filings the first half of 2022. The state of highest foreclosures in the first half of 2022. Let me just get to the point of this whole thing. Okay. And this will be all explained by what the data has that Karen has from Maryland, because if you were to pull up hers, it would say foreclosures are up in your area expediently from almost 100% from the year before. Because of why? Let's pull that up, Eddie.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Kristina, it's like we're talking about foreclosures because a lot of the clickbaity videos and articles talk about the housing crash, and they use foreclosures as the main data to say that the housing market's going to crash, right? Like that's one of the metrics they use. So they say, foreclosures are up 200 million%, look, we're going to have a crash. I brought this up just from the Maryland government site. And by the way, the person that said they want to move to Maryland, you should come. It's great. There's somebody in the chat.
Talk to Karen. Talk to Karen. Okay, so here's the numbers from 2019.
Yeah. So I pulled this because this is pre-pandemic, right? So this is a real numbers pre-pandemic, second quarter 2019. Bottom line is, if you look at the total, there's close to 5,700 events. So 5,690 events, 5,690 foreclosure events, right? This is before the pandemic. Now pull up the one from 2022. I gave it to Eddie as well.
Yeah, he's going to pull that up. And this is my point, because this is what's been happening when you look at the numbers at 153%. Now this is foreclosures in 2022. Right. So what is it?
Once again, this is from the government. This is not from a newspaper. This is the property foreclosure filings in Maryland. First quarter 2022, almost 1,700 events. So it is not even close to pre-pandemic levels yet. But of course, it's up 160% from a year ago because we had all of the foreclosure moratoriums that expired.
Right.
So once they expired, then the houses are going to start to go through the process again. I still don't think it's going to be like pre-pandemic, because I think, unlike 2019, people that had started the foreclosure process back then, hopefully, at least here in Maryland, their property values have gone up enough that maybe they don't have to foreclose. Maybe they can either refinance or somehow remodify their loan. Maybe they don't have to foreclose. I'm hoping those numbers never go back to what they were pre-pandemic. I mean, you never know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I just don't like those clickbaity articles and the clickbaity videos, that just use these statistics to say that the housing market's about to crash.
Well, I've always maintained the fact that if the housing market was to crash, it would be because the jobs market, like, to crash, because the people are saying it's going to go down 40 to 50% in value. If that's the case, it's because the jobs market has totally tanked out, dramatic increase in foreclosures filings up 150%. Here's what they're telling us about the housing market. That's one of those clickbaity titles. This is what came out. If you scroll down to the bottom of that article, it says the number of foreclosure starts. If you look at the bottom, it says, hold on. Well, hold on. It just basically was saying that even though that these were up 150%, we don't think this is going to be the thing that causes the housing market to crash. I'm like, why didn't you just say that in the first place? But no, that's not going to get people to click on it. But I will say this. If you look at, I was playing devil's advocate. Like, if the housing market was to go bad and people started losing their jobs, what was it that people would be doing to try to save themselves? And I started thinking back to the last housing crash. In the last housing crash, people started taking out home equity lines of credit to kind of save themselves from losing their car. Whoops. Hi, saw your legs. They would. That's okay. You have nice legs. They would get these home equity lines of credit, and they start using their house as an ATM. Some people were doing it really dumb, but some of it were trying to survive. So I ended up pulling up the numbers for this year so far. The numbers, the most recent numbers in February, but this has had me thinking, which areas have the most amount of HELOCs? Who's pulling out HELOCs? What areas? And then those numbers are up. If Eddie could pull those up, because Karen and I were talking about this.
Yeah.
Eddie's gonna find it. It takes a second with the the whole interwebs. There we go. All right, here. If Eddie, he's gonna home equity rates are slowly steady this week, but it won't last long. So thanks to the Fed. Are these the numbers that we pulled up before, Eddie?
This is from August.
This wasn't the article we had before, Eddie. This isn't what we had before, where it showed the whoopsie. Yeah, they are going up. So that does mean that people are in financial, trouble, that there may be slowly, but people are, here it is. This is what we're talking about. This was from February. And if you scroll down just a scotch, it will show you the areas that are actually people have, here it is. The significant percentage of homeowners on average is 16.85 considered a home equity loan or HELOC for a reason other than those listed above. But regionally, the study found that metro areas with the largest share of homeowners tapping into their home equity for home improvements, which are just, things they want to fix a siding, new roof, were Boston, Massachusetts, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Those are going to be typically the people that are going to be able to pay it back. They tapped into it for a completely different reason. The other thing is the largest chapter. This metro areas with the largest share of homeowners that are tapping in their home equity for debt consolidation. That's the ones that I'm concerned about. And it wasn't surprising to me. Las Vegas, Nevada, Phoenix, Arizona, and Louisville, Kentucky. Those are the areas that saw the highest amounts of rent costs go up. They saw home prices go up, and they're having a lot more trouble because, the median price of a median income is not matching the home prices and rent prices in the area. So people have no choice, but to tap into whatever equity they have. Granted, those people won't have rent, but you get my point. Metro areas with the largest share of homeowners considering tapping into their home equity for non-improvement investment purposes. Those are people who are looking to buy a second house or, what other investments they wanted to get into. San Jose, California, Miami, Florida, and Austin, Texas, which Austin, Texas kind of, that made my eyebrow raise, and same with Florida, because those are people that are speculating that the housing market would still continue to rise. So they pulled out their own home equity to most likely buy a second property or a rental unit. So that to me is interesting. Metro areas that found the largest share of homeowners reaching into their home equity for retirement income. That this was a little scary. Las Vegas, Nevada, Los Angeles, California, which isn't surprising, and Miami, Florida. The two cities that kind of make me nervous is Las Vegas and Miami. Those are going to be the highest number of people that have the higher number of retirees. If they can't afford to live there, I mean, that's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, Metro, where the largest share of homeowners considering tapping in their home equity for other reasons: San Jose, California, Los Angeles, California, and San Francisco, California. But I'm like thinking, like, what's going on in California? What would be the other reason for? I mean, like, what other reason is it that they financially can't make it? You know, like, are they like they're having so much trouble they can't afford their regular bills and they have no choice but to tap into their home equity line of credit? Are those
I
the
mean,
same areas that have been seeing a lot of deductions in home prices as well? You know,
but could one of the other reasons be that they're trying to buy another house, even out of state? Is one
yeah,
of the other
totally,
reasons. Because to me, that's when I recommend my
totally.
clients to get a HELOC. You know, if they want to, yeah, if they want to, don't want to have to sell before they buy, that's when I always recommend it, because then they can take out a HELOC on their present house, take that money, put that down on the new house, then we sell their house, they pay it off. So it's not like it doesn't increase their debt in the long run, but it makes it a lot more comfortable for them to buy without having to sell. So if that's one of the other reasons from one of the states where that was really overvalued and now the prices are coming down and they want to get out, I could see that, you know, happening.
Right. I was just looking at it from a perspective of what we saw in the last housing crash, because people were using their homes as an ATM. They were like, like, oh wow, I have this infinite amount of money that's coming from the increase of my home, and I'm going to do all these things. I think people have numerous amounts of people have learned their lesson from that, but there's always going to be a percentage of people that haven't, and they've, oh wow, I could really take out my money and do whatever I want with it. And you know, there's always people that are not brilliant when it comes to using lines of credit correctly. And whenever this happened the last time, those were the same areas that had the highest increase of foreclosures. So it's just one more thing to look at, because, you know, predicting a housing
Mm-hmm.
crash isn't just one event that causes the whole. There's a series of events that happen. You know, the jobs market goes bad, inflation goes up, you know, like people start losing their jobs. You know, there's numerous things that happen, and more foreclosures happen, and then that causes home prices to come down. We're not at a home crash yet. Like, people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you just don't want to say that. You're gonna sell. You know, you want to sell houses. Of course, you want it to look good." I'm not making anything look good or bad. I'm just showing you what the numbers are. And how would it behoove me to tell you to buy a house if you live in California, for instance? It doesn't make me any money to tell you to buy a house. I don't want you to buy a house if you can't afford a house. I don't want you to buy a house if you have no indication to buy a house. I'm not telling you to buy a house. I'm just telling you there is no housing crash as of right now. Soon as I see numbers like looking bad, we start seeing my whole. I keep wrapping my brain around this. We need to see more of a jobs market numbers that look terrible. And I mean, I know everybody says those numbers are twisted, they're skewed. I don't make the numbers up. If the numbers are true to what they're saying on the page, I don't make them up. If that's what they are, that's what they are. I will say, in my personal area, I've seen more and more people getting laid off from their jobs. This is just on a personal note, anecdotal. That has nothing to do with any numbers I've seen on a screen. Anecdotally, I've seen more and more people getting laid off from their jobs and having a hard time finding another job. So to me, that it makes me kind of like, I'm just interested to see what's down the pipeline.
I haven't seen that as much here, mind you. I'm in Maryland, but I'm right outside of DC. So a lot of people, and I work in DC as well, Northern Virginia. So a lot of people come here for government jobs or the NIH, National Institute of Health, or Walter Reed, or World Bank, or now Amazon. So I haven't seen that personally, like empirically, people talking about layoffs around here. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Don't throw any hate at me. I'm just saying my experience is that I haven't really seen that across the board. And I really hope it doesn't happen. I mean, I know you, Kristina, are like-minded like me. We don't want a housing crash. We don't want people to lose their jobs. We don't want people to be underwater, you know? And the one thing I wanted to say about the HELOCs is I'm hoping that, because somebody has to give these people a HELOC, you know, lender has to give it to them. And I'm hoping they're smarter than they were in 2008, where they would just give money to anyone. I'm hoping people can't get a HELOC if they can't afford it. I'm hoping.
Right. And if you don't have a job, you can't get a HELOC. They check that stuff. Just
Yeah.
what's up with the Oklahoma housing market? I don't know. I'll have an agent from Oklahoma on here. If I actually know somebody. Her name is Wendy McDonald. Eddie's going to pull it up. Oklahoma City housing trend. He's so good about this. Look at this. Closed sales are up 3.8% and prices are up 18.4%. Is this from the days on the market? It's only 20 days. Your forecast is up 5 to 12%. According to the national broker Redfin, Redfin. I don't know how, but I would have to actually talk to somebody that is from that market. But it says homes in Oklahoma City. Whoo, hold on. Whoa, Eddie. Whoa, you're so quick with that. Homes in Oklahoma City received 4 offers on average and sell within 4 days. Holy cow. The median price in Oklahoma City was $265,000 last month, up 15.2%. Oh my gosh, I wish we were 265. That'd be awesome. On average, homes in Oklahoma City sell for after 5 days on the market compared to 5 days last year. There were 1,061 homes sold in May this year, down from 1,102 last year. Oh no, they're down. The housing market is going down. We're not selling as many. That would be the next headline. The average homes sell for about 2% above list price and go pending within 4 days. Hot homes can sell for about 6% above the list price and go pending around 2 days. So they're still cranking over there in Oklahoma.
When is that? When is this from? When is this?
I don't know.
July. That's pretty.
July 26th.
Yeah.
2022. That's like right now.
And wow. Kristina, I just want to say one more thing, because I know, because I do videos on Thursdays, I do about Maryland, DC, and Virginia, but on Sundays I do similar to just videos on the entire national housing market. And it's not like we don't know a correction is going on. Like, I don't want people to think we're oblivious to what's happening and not sensitive to what's happening. It's obvious what's happening. There's just a difference between a correction and a crash. And a crash is much more severe, and people are going to be really, really hard up, and it's going to put people in very bad situations. And I don't think any of us want that, do we? I mean, I get confused that people may actually want a housing crash, and I don't know why they would. I mean, who wants?
Because they're looking for an affordable home. And that brings me to our next part about builders. So there's this thing about builder sentiment has been down for 6 months. And what does that mean? It means they're not going to be building anymore. They're not going to be pulling up any new permits. They're going to finish off the houses that they have, and they're not going to build anymore. And that is a problem for affordable housing. The builders that were building anyways weren't building affordable homes. And now if they quit building altogether, that's not going to help for finding an affordable house. Like, in order to get us out of this, we have to build more affordable housing. And their solution for affordable housing with many of this is rental homes. But people want to own a piece of real estate. Build smaller houses that would have smaller mortgages where people could buy and afford a house. But they just want to stick us all into this, like a little city square block and put us in apartments or condos. But people don't want that. They want their own yard. Anyways, home builders seeing housing recession as builder sentiment index drops further in August. That just means how they feel. This is their feelings. There's no statistics by this other than I don't feel well about this. The home builder confidence index fell to 49 in August for the 8 straight months. Economics surveyed by Wall Street Journal expected the number to be about around 54. Okay. The numbers of this National Association of Home Builders monthly conference index fell 6 points to 49 in August. Trade group said the August reading of 49 is the first time since May 2020 and that index fell below the break-even measure of 50. The decline was the 8th straight month in August. Economists surveyed by Wall Street 1 year ago, the index stood at 75. January this year, the index was at 83. So it keeps dropping lower and lower and lower. And so what they're going to do is they're going to get rid of the inventory that they have already on the market. You may even see some discounts. I know in my area they're already giving incentives like builder packages and stuff like that. They're giving out closing costs. They're giving out the upgrades. Your washers, your dryers, your refrigerators. They're doing that to get their inventory off there, and they're just going to sit back until they ride this out and see where things are going. The last time it was down, it had hit, historic lows was at the beginning of the pandemic, and they got nervous because they thought, well, people aren't going to buy houses because they're all going to be sick. And then when they realized people were buying houses like crazy, they were like panicked, and then they started building like crazy. And so builder sentiment was way up, but they had stopped for all that period of time. Then they had a backlog of people that wanted to buy houses. So of course that was another reason why housing prices went up. One of many, 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 many reasons, interest rates, blah, blah, blah. But if they are not building, and we still are not at pre-pandemic levels, and we do not have enough affordable housing on the market, that even if it was to, let's just say, correct, that would not help a good portion of Americans who are trying to find an affordable affordable housing option for them to purchase, for themselves. This is not going to help people that are looking for an affordable house. I did a video months ago saying a housing crash isn't going to make homes more affordable, because in most of these areas that are high dollar ticket areas, the most affordable homes are bought out by big corporations and they turn them into rental units. And that's why people want it to crash. They think, just like last time, there will be so many foreclosures on the market that can get themselves a deal and finally be able to afford a home. That's why.
I hear you, and I understand the logic, but it doesn't make sense to me, because I think that, people that, in order to afford a home, many things need to change. Not just that. We need to increase wages. There's just so many things that need to change to make homes more affordable than just having a housing crash. I just don't see the correlation between a housing crash directly and then people that couldn't afford a home now can. Because if the housing market crashes, it means a lot of bad things are happening. It means that inflation has gone up, but jobs have gone down. It's not just one secular thing. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it's just, yeah.
But it's kind of like, whenever you want something, you kind of like put all that other stuff off to the side. It's like it's in your peripheral vision because you really just want that one thing, right?
Yeah.
Like all these other things happening around you. Well, that doesn't matter because I want this one thing. I understand where people are coming from. I was in that boat when we were buying our first house. We had a hard time finding our first house. And we kept going out. This is right before the housing market and the last big bust, the big bubble happened. Why, we were going from house to house, and we were going through that whole process of trying to find a home and trying to get a deal and get some closing costs. It was our first home, and people weren't looking at our contracts because they were FHA. And this was years ago. This is before I even had kids. And, yeah, I get it. I understand, like at one time in Florida, three years earlier than that, I could have bought a house for 100,000, and now it was 145,000. You're like, oh my God, how come it went up so high? I get it.
Yeah, I do. I don't want you to think I don't get it. I do. I get it as well. It's obvious why people want it. So I'm not trying to say that. I just think a lot of different things need to happen to make housing more affordable, not just housing crash. 100%. And also, I just don't see. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to say, let's broaden like the perspective, and it's not just that one thing that needs to happen to make housing more affordable. That's really all I'm trying to say, if that makes sense.
I can't help it, but there's 420 people on the stream. 420. Anyways, Doug Stufflebean with a 1999 super chat. Thank you so much. And Wanda Hutchins, I did see you. We were talking. I'm sorry. Your question is, do you think a shed home, house to conversions can be insured like a home? No, it cannot. 100%. It cannot be. you would have the hardest time finding insurance to do it. I just did a video on this the other, like, on Tuesday. It was less than a week ago. And you can see that there's only one or two companies that will insure tiny homes. And the reason being is because most of the time they're not built to any specific standard of building code. And so when you have a shed conversion, it's very difficult for the insurance company to know what it is. So then when you have all your personal materials in there that are valuable, the insurance companies are like, is it a shed? Is it a home? We don't know. I don't know. What's the fire code on this? What's the wind rating on this? They don't know, so they can't insure it. So yeah, it's very difficult to find insurance on tiny homes. The ones on wheels you have a better time getting insurance on that because that's considered an RV. So you have RV automobile insurance basically on it. But the ones that are attached to a piece of property, those are the ones that have the more difficult time to get insurance. This is, but what kind of feelings though? Feeling like they don't want to build, feeling like they don't want to waste more money, feeling like the economy is bad now. What will the future be? Interest rates too high right now. Yeah. So all of that. Yes. The answer is yes. I can't read that, Eddie. My almost 50-year-old eyes. I've been scolded because I'm not exactly 50 yet. As the name implies, the HMI is a measure of confidence in the economy from those in the home building industry. According to the National Association of Home Builders, each home build creates an average of 3 jobs for a year and generates about $90,000 in tax revenue. So yeah, so it's all those things. They feel like if they build it, the building materials are going to cost too much because we still have supply chain issues. They're concerned that there isn't going to be as many buyers in the market because of interest rates and their volatility. By the way, Eddie, you have the numbers. The interest rates right now, I don't know if anybody's seen them. They're not that bad. They're not that bad. No one's even talking. That's actually positive news. If you're like having to move across the country and you were thinking, oh my God, I got to sell my house and I got to buy another one. The interest rates right now, it's just a hair over 5%. Like I think it was 5.12 the other day I saw and then it's the Freddie Mac numbers, Eddie, that I had. I don't know if you see them there. He's probably looking for them, but they're not bad at all. Yeah. So if you're in that market to look for a house and you're thinking about refi, I mean, if you didn't do it when the mortgage rates are at 2. Yeah, 5.13. 15-year is it got cut off. Eddie cut it off. 15 years is 4.55 and an ARM is 4.139. If anybody's even thinking about doing an ARM, I'm going to let you know right now. What you have to do to get an ARM is give an ARM pretty much. You better make sure that you have all your documentation there. They will ask for it 1,000 times if you're thinking about doing an ARM, and be prepared that when that's due, they want their money or you're going to refi again. So just FYI.
Yeah, I don't think I would do a 5-year ARM, maybe a 7 or a 10-year, but 5-year, that goes by really quick, especially because things are so inflated right now.
Right. Well, I mean, investors do it a lot. Investors will do that and just kind of buckle up that money for the 5 years, and then they make a big payment and they pay it down again. Oh, here, Karen, this one's for you. Is the Maryland market dominated by Baltimore, or is it or is the state much more varied than that?
So Maryland is very diverse. We're a little state. We're the 6th smallest state or the 42nd biggest state, but Baltimore is not. I don't even work in Baltimore. I work right outside of DC. I mean, I'm licensed in the whole state of Maryland, but I really focus on right outside of DC in Montgomery County and DC in Northern Virginia. That's kind of our secular DMV area. Baltimore, even though it's only 40 minutes away, is a really different market. So I would not say Maryland's dominated by Baltimore. I mean, you have a lot of great places. You can go to the Eastern Shore, you can go to Annapolis. Like I said, you can come where I am. I don't think it's dominated, but Baltimore definitely gets a lot of the news hype for sure when you're talking about Maryland.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't that where Hairspray, wasn't that based out of Baltimore, Maryland? The show, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
I know the show. I don't, maybe. I don't know.
I think it's out of Baltimore. Maybe no. I could be wrong. I
I
could
thought
be
it was New
wrong.
York, but I don't know.
I thought it was Baltimore. All right, question, Karen Gardner.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yes, but why
Oh,
would I want to move? Why would I want to move to Maryland?
why
Why
would you
would
want to move
anybody?
to Maryland? Are you kidding me? Okay, so
Is
here we go.
Maryland Maryland less expensive than some of the other areas around DC?
No,
No.
Maryland's very expensive. That's another reason.
Okay.
Well, you may not want to move here, but we have everything. They call Maryland Little America. We have mountains. We have ocean. We don't have deserts. We have everything else. Maryland is literally one of the most beautiful beautiful states that I think that you could visit. And like I said, being adjacent to DC, so you can just go right in and have all the DC has to offer. It's a great place to live. The downside is it is expensive. It is.
You got the blue crabs too. We have them here in Louisiana, but you cover them in a bunch of dust and we boil them with a bunch of seasoning.
Yeah. Yeah. We just pour Old Bay all over them.
Yeah, we'll boil them here. They're delicious. I've been known to eat I eat more blue crabs than my husband. I have cleaned house on some blue crabs.
Oh, well,
All
you
right,
should come up here then. You'll have fun up here.
oh, I know. I used to live up in Massachusetts, and we used to go to Maryland and eat the blue crabs. I love Old Bay. It's good stuff. I love crabs. They're delicious. Off the rails, they are. Matt Daniel says, good vibes. Question: how do you keep a realtor from selling your prized property for a quick commission? Why are low and middle class sellers being price gouged on commission in some area? Good vibes. Well, how do you keep your realtor from selling your prized property for a quick commission? Well, you don't hire them. If you feel like a real estate agent is giving you the runaround and trying to sell your house for a quick commission, you fire them and you get yourself another real estate agent. And then I don't think that lower class or middle class sellers are being gouged on their commission, because commissions in every state, no matter where you are always negotiable. You don't have to pay, whatever you feel like is the typical price for your area for commission, because they're not set. Commissions are not set for real estate. You can pay what you negotiate from that real estate agent. Some real estate agents they'll have like a tier, like we'll put it in the MLS and we'll take some photos and put them on the MLS, and that's tier 1, and we'll do that at a 1%. And then they'll have like a tier 2. We'll take photos, video, we'll market it, limited marketing, and we'll negotiate it. That's tier 2. And then tier 3 is, you'll have a commercial on television, like they have all these different tiers for different percentage rates. For the commission, you don't have to, whatever you think the real estate agents are charging, there's another real estate agent that will do it for less expensive. Just know what you're getting into when you do that. Not all real estate agents are the same, and you always want to negotiate and deal with a real estate agent that is experienced and understands the purchase agreement. If you're working with somebody that will do it for cheap and doesn't understand the purchase agreement, you really didn't win on anything. Not a thing. So, I mean, I know a lot of you hate real estate agents. Yeah, you hate them, but in reality, you don't have to use them. But if you have a good real estate agent, they're worth their weight in gold, and it will save you a lot of money. So, what do you say, Karen?
I don't like a lot of realtors either.
I say it all the time. Do I not say that all the time?
I mean,
some real estate agents are really jerks. Some people look at real estate as, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're in this business, I've been doing this for 18 and a half years. If you're in this business a long time, you work by referral, you kind of show your worth and your value. And as Kristina said, commission is negotiable, but you do get what you pay for. So it's really all I have to say on that. But yeah, some realtors are just salesy and others are of service. And you just have to find the one that meets your personality and really gives you what you need.
Some real estate agents look at a home as 4 windows and a door and a paycheck. Some real estate agents look at that as your home and your house, and they value you and your home at that same level.
Yeah.
That's the agent you want for yourself. Now,
Yeah.
there's plenty of agents out there that, do the four walls and the door, and they have very successful businesses. But I assure you, with every fiber of my being, they wouldn't know you from Adam until they looked at a spreadsheet and they saw how much they made off of you or how much you've sold with them before, because that's all they care about. They're numbers people. And I've worked with those people, and I don't like them. I personally do not like working with them because they don't put the um
The
I
thought
understand about
process.
I understand taking the emotion out of the deal, but they also don't put any kind of understanding of certain things that happen in people's lives. So they'll cut a deal out just because they can,
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
I remember
They,
you and I did a deal together. You had somebody on your channel that was looking to buy in DC, and you referred him to me. And I'll never
mhm,
forget, like when you called me, when you told me what he said, and how
mhm.
happy it made you that you referred somebody to one of your people, one of your subscribers that got treated the way he did. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Right.
honestly, I think that those realtors that just go for the quick sale, I don't think they last that long. I mean, you have to work on referral. How, unless you're going to buy leads, then I don't really understand how you make any money if you do that. So I don't think that they last. I think they get weeded out. And I think a lot of realtors are going to get weeded out now in a changing market because things are going to get tough.
There's a guy here that's a dingleberry that he really is one of the top dudes, but he will chase behind. He's like an ambulance chaser of real estate, like he will wait until you walk out, with your clients. And if you drive off before your clients do, he'll stop your clients and be like, hey, I don't know if you really want to work with her before, like I could get this all done, and you'll pay less for the house because I'll cut my commission. He does that just to have more sales. He's a dingleberry.
How does it not get reported?
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
sure he
understand.
has, but, like, you grease enough palms, you get away with murder. Geraldine, Dudley says, "Here it is, here is it best to go out and buy a home, or sit best to do rent to own home?" Okay, so here's the thing about a rent to own home here in Louisiana. It's called a lease purchase. And in order to do a lease purchase, you have to do a large down payment ahead of time and close within a year or whatever the terms may be. If you can't close within those terms, they get to keep that whole down payment, whatever it was, 10,000, 100,000, they get to keep the whole entire thing. And then you're out of a house. I have never heard of a house where people were just paying like a traditional rent, like $2,000 a month, and supposedly 300 went towards the mortgage. I have never, not once in my history of having a license, known a person to actually get a house that way. Never, not once. Now there's companies called uh, America own Rent First, or they have their own programs. I just be very cautious of those. You might be spending more on interest rates if you work with one of those companies. Just be careful is all I'm saying. So what do you have to say there?
You talking to me?
Yeah, no, I was talking to the guy behind me. Talking to the guy behind me.
So, we don't. I don't. I've never worked with the rent a home uh, purchase, so I don't really. I have nothing to say on that. Right? I'm not. I'm not comfortable talking about it because I don't know anything about it.
Right, right. But I mean, it's like I don't even know if I could tell you if it's the right time to buy for you, because I don't know your financial situation. So there's no
Yeah.
way for me to be able to tell you if it's the right time to buy for you. I just don't know. I can't. I wish I had a crystal ball and I wish I could tell you, but I don't know your financial situation. I don't know your debt to income. I don't know what your bills you're paying now. I can't tell
But
you. I don't know what
yeah,
your area is like.
but we know someone that can. I mean, you need to speak to a lender, and a lender will take all your information and they will tell you if you can afford to buy. And if you can afford to buy and you're comfortable with that monthly number, to know you can have that number every month for the next 30 years rather than depending on a landlord that's maybe going to raise your rents or evict you or have to replace you or something else, I think it would be a great idea. I know people don't like it when I say that because I'm a realtor, but I'm just talking about if you can afford it and you're staying there a while, why wouldn't you buy?
Interest rates aren't that bad. 15.13 is not a bad interest rate. I think my interest rate is, I think it's at 4%. I should have refied when I but I didn't. I should have, but I didn't because I didn't have my tax returns done. But I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. So yeah, it's all going to be dependent on you as a person. It's not a blanket statement that will work for everybody. 100%. I would no matter what the market is, I will always tell you when people say, "Should I buy now?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Should you buy now? I don't know what your financial situation is. No matter, like, even if the interest rates are at 1% right now, there's no way I could be certain to tell you that yes, you should buy.
Yeah. But the advice would be to talk to a local lender and see if you qualify. That's the first step.
No matter if you're buying a manufactured home, a modular home, a piece of land, a house, all of that is always the same. Talk to a lender first.
Mhm.
Talk to a lender first. All right, Eddie, next question, my dear. Eddie, Teddy.
Do I get to call Eddie babe?
Teddy. You can call him babe. You can call him Eddie Teddy too. He is a babe. If anybody's ever actually seen him in person, he has the best grill. Like, he's the nicest set of teeth I've ever seen. Question. Afternoon, Karen. Brother jumped out of a home near Towson State.
Yeah.
For $300K 20 years ago. How much are the homes running in that area right now? Towson's area right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look it up for you. Like I said, real estate is very localized, even here in Maryland. And I predominantly work in Montgomery County. So if you ask me about Bethesda, Potomac, I can tell you off the bat. I can't tell about Towson, but I can look it up for you. So if you want to contact me later, I can certainly do the work for you and let you know.
Yeah. Just sometimes you just all you have to do is it takes a few minutes.
Yeah.
Contact her. Her information is she's on YouTube. She's on the YouTube. You can look up her email address.
I'm on the YouTube.
She's on the YouTubes. Yep. Eddie, we got another one for us, or do you want me to pull it up? Eddie Teddy. I have been watching a bunch of I should say I've been reading a lot of stuff about the foreclosures, and I think that if in areas like if you see Austin, Texas, Las Vegas, Miami, Florida, if the foreclosure rates in those areas start exceeding or hitting pre-pandemic levels anytime soon, that's troubling signs for those specific areas. But even in the last housing crash, not all. Let's just say it's going to crash. Let's just say it crashes like it did in the last housing crash. Not all areas crashed. Not all areas in the United States in the housing market, despite what you've probably heard or thought or read, not all areas crashed. Our specific area here in Baton Rouge, it did not crash. We had what they called a stagnant market. Home prices didn't rise, but they didn't fall either. There were some people that took a deduction because they overpaid for their house, but it didn't cause the whole entire area to have a huge deduction in prices. Did we have foreclosures in our area? A very small amount. So not all areas will necessarily crash. That's why it's very important to keep a pulse on your specific market to know.
Look at that. He brought up Towson. That's so nice.
Eddie's so good, man. Check him out. He makes me look like a superstar. I'm telling you. Look at that. That's the median price right there, $408,000. 16 days in the market. They only sold 56 houses. That's down 44% from last year. But the year over year, 16 days on the market, median days on the market. That's not bad. But the median sales price, 408, is just slightly under the national median price of homes. It's like 126,000. I'm sorry, 426,000.
I was going to say 126,000.
I wish, man. I wish. Those were the days, man. Question, what's going on with DC row houses these days? What about multifamilies and ADUs? Any zoning changes on the horizon or options for more building?
Okay, so once again, this is a very general question. DC is a big city and it's developed into quadrants. And so each zoning is different depending where you're on in DC. But I have to say there's some great opportunities if you're interested in the row houses in DC. So a lot of them will have the English basements that are legal rentals, so they can offset your mortgage. So I've had a lot of success recently getting some of my buyers into these row houses, super cute row houses in DC, with a rental unit below that's already active. And so they offset their mortgage, and it makes it a lot more affordable.
Oh, I want that. That was
Yeah.
my dream. That was my dream because I used to watch all those shows. This is before I became a real estate agent. When before I bought my first house, I'd be like, "Oh, that's all I want is I wanna buy a duplex where the person next door basically pays my mortgage," or I wanna be like those people in Canada where they have a house upstairs, but they have a rental downstairs. That's my dream.
Yeah,
But
no,
I've
they're great. It's a
English
great way.
basement.
Yeah, that's
What's
what
an
they're called.
English
I don't know.
it
That's what the difference between English basement and like any other unit is it has a front and a rear entrance and exit, and that's what you need to be a
Oh.
legal rental unit in DC. So
Oh, because of fire?
we call them English basements. I don't know where the term came from, but that's what they're called.
Well, because you need a, because of the fire code, is that why? You have to have of the front and back door?
I would imagine so, but usually
Uh-huh.
with fire code, you just have one exit. But for DC, for it to be legal rental, you have to have both the front and the back. And that's just the term we use. I don't know where it came from. Maybe somebody on your audience does.
Yeah, well, someone knows, let me know in the comments section after this is published, because it's hard for me to watch this. Alright, Eddie, next question, my dear. Eddie, my love. There's a real song about Eddie. It's an old song. They played it at our wedding. It was called "Eddie, my love, I love you so."
Oh, good.
Hair
It is based on
hairs
Baltimore. You're right.
1960 I remember that, and then, like, she was a hair hopper. She was a hair hopper, you remember that? That was played by Ricky Lake
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
movie. Yep. Question, can I put a house on the MLS myself as a non-realtor? Not in our area. I
Yeah.
in order to be a member of the MLS, you have to pay dues at the beginning of the year. I don't know, everybody's area has different prices when it comes to the dues, but they're not cheap, you know?
Yeah. You have to
But
be a
there's
member of the MLS.
there's lots of brokerages. We had one here that would say flat fee MLS. So all they would do was they put your house in the MLS, but all the information in on that was, like your pictures that you took with your phone. And then
Yeah.
it would say to contact and schedule appointments, contact the seller at this point. All negotiating contracts is direct with the seller. The company that's put it in the MLS has nothing to do with the actual purchase of this home.
Yeah.
I don't think they
We have
exist
those
anymore.
here. Yeah, we have those here too. They'll just put it on the MLS for you. And then everything they say contact the owner. Just if you're gonna do that, just be careful because you know, people may come to your house that may not have their best interests at heart. And just be careful if you're gonna sell it yourself.
Oh, and like that brings me to a point because you've just mentioned this. There is a scam that's resurfaced since like this used to happen in the years ago, and now it's resurfaced again because people are having a hard time finding an affordable home or apartment to rent. So people on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace will take an actual home, a real home that's listed for sale, take the pictures from there, and then put it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and say, I have this home, and I mean, my husband and I are getting divorced and I just can't live in it. So I have it up for rent for $2,000 when normally that area would rent for 3,000. I just want a good family. So if you have a story and $2,000, I'll rent it to you for $2,000 a month. I just need your first payment, your last payment, and your deposit. And you can wire me the funds here. And some people are so desperate they've done this, and of course there is no house. These are scammers that have taken the house and the photographs and everything. So be aware if your house is for sale. Kind of start combing and looking to make sure that house isn't popped up somewhere else on rental sites. If you are looking for a house to rent, make sure that the people that are putting it up for rent are legitimate. You can actually look in the public tax records
Mhm.
to see if the homeowner that is listing it is the homeowner that's on the tax records. So just, buyer beware, but be very careful because if it sounds too good to be true, I guarantee it is. I've learned in
Yeah.
my almost 50 years of existence that yeah, scammers are everywhere. Be careful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just be careful. I don't want anything bad to happen to anyone, you know?
Oh, me either, man. And it's terrible. I'll tell you with land listings, there's a lot of people that know that like land has been in like probate or whatever for a long period of time. And so they'll take those plots of land and they'll put them on like different websites that to, oh, you can rent this land until you can afford it, rent to own land. And these people buy like a manufactured home to put on this piece of property. Some family member comes down and says, what are you doing out here? They're like, oh, I have a rent to own property. I'm renting this piece of property until I can afford to pay it off. And they're like, that's my granddad's. We're trying to get it, we're trying to go through probate at the time. Or we can't get, that nobody could build on that nobody owns that. And they got scammed. And they are with a manufactured home they can't put on a piece of property. It's terrible. Terrible.
That's no bueno.
Yeah. The original Hairspray film was written and directed by John Waters. Yes, John Waters, who grew up in Lutherville, Maryland, and still lives in Baltimore. All of his films take place in Baltimore. Yeah, he's a character. I remember his little tiny mustache. He has this little tiny and he was the original
Barry
original
Levinson
play
too. Barry Levinson's another director that lives in Baltimore, grew up in Baltimore and filmed in Baltimore a lot. He did Rain Man. I remember that movie, Diner, some really great movies. He's from Baltimore.
Yeah. Baltimore, a lot of the architecture reminds me a lot of Pittsburgh. Believe it or not. If you ever go to Pittsburgh, you're like, how come this looks a lot like Baltimore in some areas, like older areas? It's neat. A lot of row houses. Like me some row houses.
Mm-hmm. You would love DC. Some beautiful row houses in DC.
I can't afford DC, man. I'm broke, man. You're rich. I can't afford DC.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not making that DC real estate money. Eddie, you got another question for me? Here we go. Nat says, question, when will the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina crash, offering $7,500 off the house and $7,500 off closing? Wait more? Ooh, do you know who I know is a perfect real estate agent for this? And I'm Jeremy Blanton. Jeremy Blanton. He knows Myrtle Beach like the back of his hand. I haven't spoken to him specifically about his market in a while. Maybe I should have him on here, see if he'll come on a Sunday. He usually goes to church on Sunday. That's probably why I haven't had him on here. But he's the one to ask. He is the one to ask. Don't forget to hit the like button, everybody. Hey, I don't know if it's the audience, when you came in today, did you see a like accept the rules kind of thing that came in? Like, did it come up on your screen? Like, in order to comment in the chat, you had to like accept the rules, like be kind to one another and all that. I want to know if that came up, because I just filled that out. I didn't even know that was a thing. And somebody told me about it and I was interested in that. There's a question for Karen. It says, what is the average price of homes in the DC area right now? What is the average price?
It ranges so much. You can get something in DC. Are you talking about a single family? Are you talking about a row house? Are you talking about a condo? Are you talking about a co-op? There's so many different ranges in DC. It can be anything from, inexpensive to up to millions and millions of dollars. It just depends where and what you're looking for.
Well, let's just say single family homes. As the average price, what's the average price of single family dwellings in your area?
But what I once again, and I know I keep saying this, real estate is very localized. If you ask me Georgetown in DC, it's going to be very different than Adams Morgan in DC, which is very different from Columbia Heights, which is very different from Capitol Hill. I'm sure Eddie can look up the stats and I'll give one number, but I'm here to tell you that number, it depends on where you're looking in DC. It just depends where. I'm not trying to be evasive. I'm just being honest.
Right. Well, yeah. And that's why I always say that real estate is very hyper localized. Like, even if you go to New Orleans, everybody knows New Orleans. And so if you were to say New Orleans and the median price home in New Orleans was $554,000, right? You'd be like, that's the median price in New Orleans. But then you have Mandeville, and then you have, like, you have all these little micro real estate markets within New Orleans that have nothing to do with the median price. Some of them are going to be higher and some of them are going to be lower. You got the North Shore, you got, like all these different areas are going to have a different median price home. So like when we talk about this, it's always almost like a blanket number, but you have to really speak to somebody in that local area to get the
Yeah.
exact numbers for it. Look, Eddie's
Yeah.
going to pull it up. Check it
I,
out,
I
man.
figured he would. I don't.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about giving blanket numbers, though, Kristina, is that I hate
Mhm.
to get people either their hopes up, like, oh, I can afford this, and then that number does not reflect what they're looking for in a house,
Mhm.
or if it's too high, then they give up on the area when there is stuff they can afford. So I don't like doing blanket numbers. I'm happy to
Mhm.
do real numbers for anyone that wants. Tell me where you want, or tell me what your budget is, and then I'll tell you where we should look. But
Mhm.
I don't know. Blanket numbers to me, they really don't help people. So it says 562,766.
Mhm.
Where? I need to know where you're talking about. The whole city? You just take
8
everything?
days on the market? Is that does that feel right? It
Yeah.
says metro area, 8 days on the market. We're higher that. But the average days on, like, people say, "Oh, the average days on the market are so much higher than they were a year ago." Of course they are. Thank God. Like, at least people have a chance to look at the house before it goes pending. An average market here is 45 to 60 days in the market. We're at 30 days on the market right now for the average amount of days on the market. Just average. 30 days. So if we get up to 45 to 60 days of the market, that's still a normal market here for our specific area. So even
Yeah.
though the average days in the market are going up, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's crashing either. Um, and don't think I'm like, blowing like Puff the Magic Dragon baloney at you, like, oh, she's just saying that because she won't, blah, blah. Like, I'm just saying that we are definitely 100% in a correction. I mean, we needed to be. Nobody wanted these numbers to go as high as they did. I complained all year last year about how these houses were selling so fast and for way too much money. I was very concerned for some of my clients that bought a house in some of the areas around here going, oh my God, I don't know if I would have dipped in my 401k to purchase a house. But they ended up winning in the long run. I mean, they did, but it made me nervous because when I saw that made me think, it made me have flashbacks to the last housing crash. But it all worked out for them. I mean, everything worked out for them.
I want to
Because
answer this question that Eddie put up because
Mhm.
I just did a video on this one. I think it was today it came out. So here's the definition I found of a housing crash that resonates for me. A housing
Mhm.
crash is a sudden and steep decline in home values, often leading to economic ruin for many homeowners.
Mhm.
A housing correction, on the other hand, is a slow and steady return of elevated home values back down to balanced levels. So that's when I think of a housing crash, I think of economic ruin for homeowners because that's what happened in 2008. That was economic ruin. That was foreclosures everywhere. That was short sales everywhere. To me, because I lived through it and I worked through it, that's
Me
what I
too.
think of when I think of a housing crash.
Yeah. And I can see if it hit it below pre-pandemic levels, then that would be more than a correction. That is a crash for many people, especially if they bought during that time because they would lose so much money, equity. That would be a financial problem. But if you're not, so I bought during the time in Louisiana that was supposedly the crash time. People said we were the dumbest people in the world to buy a house. That why are you buying a house now? This is stupid. The thing is that within 6, 7 years when we sold that house, it was totally fine. We sold it for a profit. Was it $100,000? No, but we sold it for a profit. We paid our commissions to real estate agents. We moved into this house. We have paid down the balance. It's still appraised for that value. Um,
No, I did
and
the same thing, Christina. I
Mhm.
bought my house at the very end of 2005, which, if you
Mhm.
know, here was like the height of the market. And, by 2008, it had gone down $100,000. And I thought, there's no
Mhm.
way it's going to come back. And it did. Now, I've been here
Mhm.
16 years now, so it's come back in a lot more. But it just
Mhm.
depends on how long you're planning on staying, and you have to really think about that if you're going to buy in a market that's elevated.
Right, I would tell, it doesn't matter what market you're in. If you're planning on selling your house within a 3-year period of time, don't buy a house. I don't care what the interest rates are. If they're 1% or because you never know what's gonna happen within those 3 years. That's too short of a time frame. Some people that I know that like around here that bought a house and they had to sell within 3 years, they were lucky if they broke even after they paid commissions and stuff. So unless you're working for a company that's going to pay those commissions and get you into the next house,
Yeah.
if you're, don't do it. Don't play the speculation game and thinking that the whole housing market's going to go up in 3 years, like who knows?
Yeah.
But if you're going to be there for 10 years, you're going to work out fine.
Yeah. The only time I see people that really are buying for a short amount of time that I support are military families, because like you said, there are processes in place for them to move and buy and sell without losing, money.
Right. Christopher says, love your show. Part of my Sunday routine. I'm so glad about that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So just put on an offer on a house in Denton, Maryland, Eastern Shore. Fingers crossed. All right, everybody. Fingers crossed for Christopher. Yay. Let's hope he gets it.
Eastern Shore is beautiful. I hope you get it. It's such a pretty place to live.
I need to go out there. Do they have crabs there?
Oh yeah, that's where they all come from.
Okay.
Eastern Shore, yeah.
Christopher, I hope there's an open invitation for me for when you win that house. Go visit you out there so we can have crabs on the Eastern Shore. Here's I'm gonna put the Crow Homesteads in here really quick. It says so a crash does not mean that more affordable houses become available. This is the difference between the last housing crash and this housing crash. In the last housing crash, there were not institutional investors like there are today. We had the house flippers, which were usually people that were buying maybe 5 to 10 houses. They ended up losing their shirts, and then they put their houses back on the market, or they gave them back to the banks. The banks ended up taking those houses and selling those houses to big corporations like Blackstone, like BlackRock, like Invitation Homes. All these other larger investors, they're like, please get this off of our books. And they went, sure, we'll do that. And then they realized, wow, if we flip these and turn these into rental units, we could make a lot of money. And so all these other companies started jumping on board, seeing how much money they could make from rental units and real estate. So now we have a large number of larger investors buying up the least expensive homes in some of the hottest markets. And they will continue to do that because they know it's extremely profitable. And if you look at the numbers, they're buying up as many inexpensive homes as possible in some areas that you would never have imagined that they would have purchased, but they are. One of the hottest markets they're buying in is Atlanta. It used to be Austin, Texas, but Atlanta, Georgia, they're I think they were up 35%, but now they're coming back down to 25% of the offers that come in are coming in from institutional investors. So no, I don't believe that it would depend how the significance and the rate of a crash that we're talking about. If it flattens out and stagnates, or it would have to be an exorbitant amount of foreclosures that hit the market.
Yeah, you need a lot of inventory at one time.
At one time in order for it to be affordable. And that's my opinion. So Eddie's giving us a little thing. Karen, he wants to know how you're on time. You got to go?
Oh, I got 10 more minutes.
You got 10 more minutes. Let's put another question up there. Question. I bought a house in Willisview of Lake Conroe. Oh, okay. It was a super fixer-upper. I paid $215 once I got it fixed. Can I get my money back? Everyone from owner to real estate agent and Rocket Mortgage. Well, it depends on what your house appraises for after you get it fixed up. I mean,
yeah. And what the comps are. What are the comps around you for houses that are renovated?
Right, exactly. You would have to be, because you could, let me just put it this way, and people get this confused all the time. They'll say, well, I just upgraded my kitchen $30,000. Well, everybody else in the neighborhood has a kitchen that was made in the 70s and you upgraded yours $30,000. That doesn't mean your house value increased $30,000 because it's not in line with the neighborhood. You've over improved for the neighborhood. So definitely have it appraised and see what the appraiser says. CC Moon with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much, CC Moon. I can't wait to see though what the market is like in 5 years. I you know what? If I honestly, if I could just look at it 6 months from now, if I could do a little fast forward 6 months from now, I would be a happy camper. I would be a happy camper. That made me feel really good. Daily Smelly says, Daily Smelly. I love that. That's a great screen name. It says, when comparing today's home prices to past prices, how can we tell the difference between genuine appreciation from inflation when no one knows exactly how much inflation we've had? This is true. And I actually saw a video about this, that they were laying over the inflation rate with the housing rate, and he was saying that he wasn't 100% sure that these numbers would constitute as a housing crash, but it looks like at some point that, if you follow the trends, that in some areas we're going to see a crash. And so I was like, that's interesting. And basically laying over the inflation rate over home prices and the actual real home prices, housing costs. But the problem I keep running into my brain is that the median priced home is not covered by the median incomes in most areas. And those are the areas that I feel like are going to have the hardest time during this correction period. And some say that will actually crash. So keep an eye on those HELOCs in the area. Keep an eye on the housing market, the housing foreclosures in your area. Have a true pulse on your specific area. You can ask your real estate agent, if you now have one in your area, for an updated numbers. They usually have a newsletter that comes out that will tell you what the updated numbers are for your specific area. So you'll have a good indication of that. So if the jobs market in your area starts tanking, foreclosures are up in your area, that may be time to either A, pull out, or B, buy a house, get a deal. So anyways, everybody, I want to thank everyone for spending an hour and 10 minutes with me and Karen. I've had a great time with you, Karen. I appreciate you bringing in all your charts that it came. Yeah, real data. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. And I want everybody to thank the moderators that have come in and spent their hours, their Sunday. They do it every single week. Spend time to make sure that the chat stays clean and people are cordial to one another. And I appreciate that, because I like a little civil discourse, and everybody doesn't need to agree with me. If you haven't yet, go over to Karen right here. Look, living in Maryland. You can check out her channel. She has some great thumbnails, great titles, great videos, all about the Maryland area. She is one of my closest friends in the real estate group. And whenever I have someone that wants in the Maryland area, who do I call? I call Karen. Call Karen Gardner.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. I really appreciate you. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I contacted Karen right away on Sunday. I said, "Hey, Karen, do you know anything about the foreclosure rates in your area of Maryland?" She's like, "I can pull them up for right here." Matter of fact, they were just coming out. And so she started sending me all this stuff. So we've been chatting about this all week.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim Channel with the $2 super chat with the thanks moderators. If you haven't yet and you want to get a hold of me and you need a real estate agent in your area, just like Karen or myself, I am connected with real estate agents all over the country. You can go to my website, fill out the referral form, make sure you put your phone number there so I can give you a call personally, and we'll have a little chat on your real estate needs, and I can connect you with one of the real estate agents that I personally know. I'd love to do that. You just go over to KristinaSmallhorn.com. I know it's really hard. It's Kristina with a K, KristinaSmallhorn.com. Just fill out the form and I'll give you a call. That's it. That's right. Look, see, book a call with me. And he's going to click on it right there. He's going to show you because he's so good. Look at that. And then it's going to say you're looking for a referral or a collaboration. The collaboration part's for like some brands that want to work with me. And then you just fill that out. Fill it out. Make sure you put the phone number, though. Man, it's really important. It's really difficult for me to call you if you don't have a phone number. That becomes a real problem. So, Karen, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And I appreciate almost 500 of you. There was 500 of you guys on the stream. And I appreciate every single one of you spending an hour and 10 minutes with me and Karen. you know, you guys, if it wasn't for you guys, I couldn't do the show without you. That's for sure. So I hope you have a fantastic week. If there's anything you want me to specifically talk about next week, I will put it in consideration. This week coming up, the next video that's coming out is about buying land. I'm sharing some of the best tips about buying raw land and home lots I've never shared before. So I'm going to be sharing some websites that you guys really need to look at when you're looking at raw pieces of land for your next home build. So we'll see you on Tuesday for the video drop. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Everybody say bye to Karen. I usually do a little dance on the way out. We do this little I do a little Austin Powers. Oh, Eddie's even changing the music. He's